sure? Gotta be. Is everybody? What's up, fellas? We gonna kick it on this one. This one is only for us, man. And in this one, what we gonna cover is what matters to us as men the most, from young men all the way to older, right? So at the end of the day, we all know that what matters to us men is mainly success and women. Sometimes one goes hand in hand with the other. We want success with women. So on this one, we'll be getting to the thick of it. We'll get right down to the meat of the matter. But before I do, Rich's Method back at it again. Don't forget, subscribe, click the bell notification, hit notify all. Make sure you drop your comments. Make sure you hit that like button right now before we get started. Absolutely go ahead and share the videos on your Facebook and your Instagram. For my travelers, I highly recommend that you get the ebook and audiobooks on travel, safety, and dating. And for those who want to live abroad, get the cheat sheet to financial freedom and the good life, how to live or slow travel abroad. Available for instant download at payhip.com/Rich's Method. All the links are also in the description below. So let's go. So today is one hell of a rainy day, man. And it actually didn't start this way at all. It was really, really sunny. So my plan was, you know what? Let me just leave the house a little early. I'll go by the bank. I'll grab some pesos. I'll hit a few stores up maybe and try to maybe grab something. I get some food. And then my plan was coming on to around like 6 o'clock. I was going to make my way over to Avenida Venezuela, or Avenue Venezuela, right? And that's where on the weekends, you got a lot of little spots open, like you got Lux, and you got a lot of different things open in that area in Santo Domingo. Also, people usually just line those areas, go to the colmados, have a good time, right? And that was the plan for where I was going to kind of also maybe grab some footage for you guys. But what did they say? When we make plans, God laughs. So a whole bunch of rain came down. Now, I did check the weather report, right? And the weather report kind of said there was a chance of rain, but you know, usually when you get there in the Caribbean, you're like, all right, that just means it's going to rain on and off, but sun is going to be like out. That ain't happened today. And everything was rained out. But I happened to catch everybody at this spot right here, and Mega Central. And you know, I had a good little time, man. Watched some good things go by. Went into a few stores, well, ate some good food. Listened to some good music. Did some talking on the phone. So all in all, man, it also made me think about life and a few of the things that I had wished that I had learned as a younger man. Some of the things I stumbled upon, as well as things that I now was still learning as a middle-aged man, right? So a lot of these things I think will be helpful for any man in any stage of his life if he has not already picked it up. And I want to just go over these things with you guys, and I'm open to you guys adding your own experiences and your best advice by dropping the comments below. Now, the second to last and the last items will be the most important out of the numbers of things I'm going to run through. Now, this first thing might have happened to you, or you've seen it happen to somebody else, and you might have been like, how the hell is that possible, right? Now, it's either that you've been the dude that got a girl that looked fine as hell, and a lot of people think like, how the hell did he get her? Or you're the dude that saw another guy with a girl, and you're like, yo, how the hell did dude pull that off, right? Because they just don't seem to be a match. She's bad as hell. Now, one of the first things I will say that I learned from life is that being physically attractive, not only is it healthy, right? Because you got to be healthy to be physically attractive, but it clearly gets your attention from the opposite gender, right? It'll even help society treat you a little better. And there's some psychological studies that even suggest it'll help you at your career and your job. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to the opposite gender, I gotta say this. The one thing that is definite in life is that although that's good, being physically attractive, it'll help you get your foot on the door, but it will not keep interest, right? So it'll get the girl interested in you, but it won't overall in the long term keep the girl interested in you. So what's really, really important is to be able to develop your other parts. You got to be able to develop your brain, right? There's a couple of things you would never be able to buy and you can't pay for. You got to be able to make a girl smile or even laugh, right? You don't want to be the class clown either. And I'll tell you this, you absolutely got to be able to stimulate the woman's mind to be able to keep her long term. So start working on those things early as possible and at any time. I mean that you don't necessarily need to be the most book smart person in the world and know everything, but you need to at least be well-rounded enough to have good conversation, right? So I would say develop your brain a little bit. Educate yourself about the general things in life. And then the second thing I would say is address your issues, any toxic recurring thoughts that you have. Your thoughts make up who you are overall. So when you see that dude and you're like, how the hell are you able to pull that? You got to ask yourself, do you know what that guy's conversation is like, right? Do you know what if he can make a woman laugh? Now, of course, also, can he make a woman respect him, right? So this means you got to be able to be self-confident, and he's got to be self-assured. He's got to be able to not be toxic, and he's got to be able to not be too needy. He's got to be able to be alone. A lot of people underestimate that. The other thing, fellas, I would say is this. You got to be able to control your emotions. Now, one of my last points on this topic is going to actually cover a part of that that's going to be very important, right? But for right now, let's just say you got to be able to have self-control and be able to be alone. So that definitely means you got to be able to deal with any insecurities that you have. That way you can be comfortable with yourself first. The second thing is being able to set boundaries and being able to say no without explaining yourself to anyone. And by the way, those two things especially important when it comes to women. Being able to set the boundaries and telling them, hey, this and this and this is what I expect. This is where you got to respect about me. Don't cross that line ever. And being able to tell them no without explaining why. And being completely comfortable with telling women no. I think women are built in with an automatic, I can't use the word here, S-tester, right? Where if you say words, whether they realize it or not, they will instinctively keep trying to test that to see if you are a man of your word and conviction. So fellas, if you say something, you got to be about it. And I think I've learned throughout the years they absolutely got to set boundaries, expectations, and respect. And you got to be able to walk out at any moment's notice if that woman breaks that code that you live by. A woman will be this type of woman, especially so much so if she's toxic. Set a code, set a boundary, be able to say no without explaining your decision to anybody, man or woman, and stand on it. I had a dude recently contact me in the comments, and he was like, to me, way too concerned with what other people thought. I kept mentioning other people's opinions, and I kept going back to, bro, just do what you want to do. Who cares what other people say? And I had to send him a quote, right? Now, same thing, man. The most weight you will ever lose in life is losing the weight of other people's opinion on you. Most of society will judge and say, and most of them don't even know what the hell they're doing. Listen, if you do bad, people definitely talk bad about you. If you do good, they'll hate and talk bad about you. So at the end of the day, they're going to talk bad. Don't give a damn what they say and do what you got to do for the best of you, man. Now, I know I just mentioned discussing boundaries and expectations. So that rolls me into this next one that's absolutely important that it be discussed, especially if you guys want to get married or have long-term living relationships. Now, some guys might not want to get married ever, no matter where they are in the world. That's up to you, right? Just apply the same principle, is my point. The most important part of this is what I'm saying is you got to make sure you also discuss the other things. Money. Absolutely have that discussion. Long-term relationships and marriage is absolutely a contract. Education. You want to discuss childhood issues and traumas. Do not skip that. Family expectations, your expectations, any kind of negatives in life, health issues, other family members, genetic health issues or things that run in the family when it comes to health care. You absolutely want to discuss any kind of traumas, physical traumas, mental traumas, right? Absolutely important. Get those out of the way early before you marry someone and absolutely before you get in a long-term, deep relationship. If y'all thinking about moving in together, those things should have already been discussed. All right, now this one is for my younger men who are now developing, man. If you're lucky enough to hear this message at this time, you're between the ages of 15 all the way to 30, man. That's the best years of your life. It's the time when you learn the most, but also do not make any kind of mistake that is irreversible during that time, right? So you don't want to have any kids. You don't want to get married. Yeah, I said that. Don't marry before 30. That's one of the things that I did not do, and I don't regret that. I will say there's a caveat, though. If you decide to get married between the ages of 21 to 30, I really hope you make a good choice. Use it as fuel to ignore the rest of the world and the usual growth stuff that everybody goes through, a partying, spending extra money. Focus on your family. Use that to build wealth, right? But for most men in the Western world, this is the period of time where you want to develop yourself, where you want to make mistakes, but not ones you can't reverse, and where you want to focus on career and job. All right? Passion, finding yourself, growing your personality, not just your money. You want to grow the things that will, carry you through to a long period of time. Now, when you're ready, where you have been using those years for is when you should be ready now for that long-term relationship or that wife, right? A woman who can add value to your life, and you'll be able to judge her worth because by that time you've dated, you've experienced, and you know the difference. Now, there is a rule out there about age difference marriages, right? Or relationships. And the Nation of Islam used to say, do half your age and then add 10. Now, whatever rule you want to use, man, is up to you. But I would suggest you get a woman who is old enough to have experienced, but not experienced too many men in her life, but have experienced enough of life to know when and if she has a good thing. That's kind of hard to judge. Make sure you vet them properly, because if you've used those years to grow as a person and mature, that should enable you to vet that woman properly, right? My personal use, I used to say, I'll never marry a girl who is less than 26 years of age unless she's really an exception to that rule. Now, that was my rule for the Western world because obviously, what's going on in America and Canada and Europe and that kind of mentality, right? Personally, right now, I'm dating a woman who's half my age. Hey, that's how it is. Don't date and take single mothers too seriously. Don't be the mop-up man. You have no rights. You're still developing. You don't want the responsibility of an insta family, especially if things don't work out. You have no rights to the child. You just hurt emotionally from losing her, as well as the children that you became connected to. Bottom line, those are the years to hone your skills, make friends, lose friends, fall in love, fall out of love, get hurt out of people. Not too much. Basically your time of growth, man. Work on your personal skills, work on making people laugh, working on making networking connections, those kind of things. Now, in the current society, it's kind of hard in the West to make friends. Do your best. Make acquaintances, right? You want to force yourself to grow socially as much as possible. Challenge yourself. If you're scared of people, take a job where you got to do sales, where you got to do customer service. I fell into that. Push yourself into social situations. Go to networking events. Great website. I think it's called meetup.com. There's a lot of different events that you can go to. They'll even send you invites based on the categories that you're interested in. Now we're down to the last two important things that I mentioned earlier, right? So let's get into those. The first part of that is this. You want to be able to have your self-confidence generated from internally, not externally, from other people, from validation in the world, from things people say or not say, love people give or not give. So it's going to be very, very important that any childhood abuses that you have had, that you seek help for those, and for the things that have hurt you but not necessarily harmed you, that you deal with those before two things, especially before any deep relationships and before you have children. We want to break cycles. Psychologically, if you don't get help, there's something where, I forgot what it's called, but in psychology, somebody could put it in the comments. We tend to repeat the same things that we think we never would, or what our parents did and what other people did to us. So you want to seek help for that. And then last but not least, fellas, when it comes to choosing the woman for you long term, choose the one that likes you and not the one that you like. Now think about this for a while. Choose the one that likes you, not needs you, but likes you for you and who you are, and not the one that you necessarily like. We tend to choose people that we like more than they're like us, or equally. And when that happens, this is when we tend to do things that we swear we would never do. This is where the simping comes in. This is where the disadvantages come in, where the concessions are being made, where the compromises are being made, where all the mistakes that we usually regret later are being made. Because we then tend to instinctively do things that we would not normally do for approval from that person. Choose the one that likes you, that you like also, all right? Never accept the friend zone, and if she wants to put you in the friend zone, she don't like you like her. That's simple. Walk away. Cut off all communication. Fellas, there is absolutely no benefit of being in the friend zone. She'll never respect you, and you probably 90% of the time will never get it in the future. A lot of guys are hang-alongs, waiting for something to possibly happen one day. Never do that. Go to payhip.com/richesmethod. Download the Traveler's Cheat Sheet. That's a guide to dating, safety, and travel. And if you'd like to live abroad, I've also got a book for that. That's called The Good Life, How to Live or Slow Travel Abroad. And for y'all who need just a little bit of help on the financial side of how to make this happen, I got the Financial Cheat Sheet. All of them available for instant download at payhip.com/richesmethod. And I'll check you guys on the next one.